Over the last few months, we've been on the tough journey towards fighting an aggressive form of colorectal cancer, and Molin's about to start round 3 of chemotherapy. This week felt like a bit of a tough one emotionally, but we took our minds off the chemo by answering some of your important questions. The most asked question by far was about your symptoms.
Yeah.
Round 3.
Round 3.
Over halfway there.
Yeah, something positive at least.
Yeah.
This is the first time it feels really heavy to drive to the hospital, to be honest. Like the first time I was nervous, but didn't know what to expect. Last time they gave me new medicine to take before, and that gave me hope that I would feel better. And this time it just feels a bit hopeless, to be honest, and it's just to put your head down and go through these hard 10 days that's coming. It feels a bit heavy to be here today, to be honest.
Yeah. I think some weeks it's going to feel like that. Some weeks we're going to feel hopeful, and some weeks it's just to get through it, isn't it?
Yeah. Like there's no other option, and I don't want to stop. I also don't really want to do it today.
No.
And I think it's even harder this time because I felt so good the last few days.
Yeah.
Going out with the kids and enjoying life, even if I still have a nap every day. And now I know that I got 10 days at least of feeling shit where I can't do anything at all. And I think that's the heavy bit today.
It's such a difficult process, and you've been so positive and so good, you know, for most of the time.
Yeah.
Just some weeks are going to be tougher than others.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. You're doing such a good job though. So we thought, with us having half an hour, actually 12 minutes now, with the nutritionist and the counsellor coming in and out and stuff, disturbing us, we thought we'd answer a few questions, because the first video we had a lot of questions in the comments. A lot of them were similar questions to each other, a lot about symptoms and stuff, but there was a few other ones as well. So we thought we'd just sort of take 11 minutes now to answer a couple of them.
Yeah.
I guess the first thing that we should really clear up is that a few people mentioned after the first video that you had stage 1 cancer.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we were a little bit unclear in that video, because I don't think we actually said what it was. It was just that, yeah, maybe we were not super clear and people got the wrong end of the stick, but you were actually battling against stage 3 cancer, and it's stage 3C, which means it's spread to several lymph nodes around the tumour, and that the tumour itself is big.
Well, they've not actually said that it's spread to the lymph nodes. They said that they can see that the lymph nodes are affected by something, but because they're like swollen and stuff. But they can't say until I'm in surgery
whether there's actual cancer cells in them or whatever. So it's sort of, they're thinking of it as stage 3C, so that Molin gets basically as much treatment as possible. But really, they don't know exactly whether it's stage 3C or stage 2.
Yeah.
That was what it looked like on the journal, but they've not said anything, really.
They're treating it like 3C.
Yeah, I think that was the thing. They're treating it as if it's the worst, so that you get as much treatment as possible and to get it gone, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how we're thinking about it. It's stage 3, so that we sort of fight even a little bit harder.
Yeah.
So somebody called Sherry asked, in what country are you receiving your treatment and how much are you paying for it? I don't know if we were super clear about this before either, but for people who have not watched our stuff before, we are in Sweden. I'm from the UK, but we live on the southeast coast of Sweden.
Yeah, I'm from here.
You're from here. So yeah, we're in Sweden, and the healthcare here is essentially free. It's socialised, and we pay, you could say, a little bit more in tax in order to get essentially free healthcare. So what we pay is per appointment. We pay the equivalent of $20, about 200 krona per appointment, which is capped at 1,200 krona a year, I think, if it's for the same thing. So if you're being treated for the same thing, you don't ever pay more than sort of $120 in a year. Using dollars because we've had a massive influx of American subscribers. So I thought it was probably an easier metric, but about 1,200 krona or $120 a year it's capped at, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is obviously a very, very different healthcare system to what some of you guys would have experienced. But you know, it swings and roundabouts, as they say. We pay a little bit more in tax for that, but it means that the healthcare system here is pretty fantastic, really.
Yeah.
And it's also basically free.
Yeah.
So I thought that was quite an interesting point, just because how different it is all over the world, and how different some of you guys might have experienced it. So the most asked question by far was about your symptoms.
Yeah.
A lot of people asked similar questions, but Amanda said, what were your first symptoms and what first made you decide to go to the doctor?
Yeah.
And it's obviously, with it being colorectal cancer, there's one main symptom, and that's bleeding from where you're not supposed to be bleeding from.
Yeah. And that's why I went to the doctor the first time.
Yeah.
And that was in March 2022.
Yes, exactly. And as obviously it got worse, that main symptom also got worse.
That was my main symptom through the whole time.
Yeah.
That I reacted to, obviously, because I've been extremely tired. I've been napping with the kids for ages, and I've just thought, like, maybe this is life when you got two very active kids, that you get this tired. I've been quite bloated, which I've also not really thought about, like, you can be bloated.
It's also really hard because we've got two really young kids, and
Yeah.
your body changes so much when you're pregnant and when you have a baby.
And the first time I went to the doctor's, Bella was not even 6 months, and that's why the doctors also said, like, it's not a problem, this is quite common when we just had a baby.
Yeah. So it's like, what symptoms are a part of recovering from childbirth and from pregnancy and whatever. And even now, it's like there might have been some crossover. You know, you don't know exactly. But those were the main things.
Also weight loss. I lost 10 kilos
quite a bit
before we started treatment. I lost 10 kilos, but I'm also a person who don't weigh myself. So I didn't realise that until the doctors asked me to stand on the scale, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I've lost a lot of weight.
Yeah. Yeah. So just while we're talking about symptoms, I thought this was quite an interesting way of saying it. Gary asked, what were your symptoms 6 months ago and how have they changed?
Yeah.
Because we mentioned in that video that your symptoms have gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably self-explanatory. Like, all of those symptoms that we just said got a lot better, didn't they? Well, they got worse during radiation therapy, which they said would probably happen. But then when you recovered from getting radiation, they got a lot better, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they started to sort of clear up pretty well.
Yeah.
And now those original symptoms, not many of them left at all, is there?
They're gone. Basically,
Pretty
all of
much.
it is gone. It's the weight loss. That's still the problem.
Yeah.
But that's from treatment now, probably, and not the actual cancer.
It's also getting in enough food when you feel sick all the time, isn't it? That's the problem with that, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's less about the cancer and more about the chemo, actually, the
probably.
side effect of that.
Yeah.
Somebody called Alison asked, what's the next step after chemo and when will that be?
Like, the next step is surgery, but we don't know when or how big it's going to be, because it all depends on how well this treatment has worked, or do you say that? How this treatment has gone. And I got scans coming up next week where I got a CT scan and an MRI booked in. And then after that, the oncology doctor and the surgery, how do you say it,
Surgeon, I guess. It's the surgery team, isn't it?
Yeah, the surgery team. So the oncology team and the surgery team is having a meeting after they get the results back from the scans, and then they decide what kind of surgery I will have and how much they're going to take out. Because it's talk about that they might have to remove my uterus and stuff as well, because the tumour is pressing on my uterus.
The last time that we heard anything about surgery was before we'd even started with radiation therapy.
Yeah.
So they were sort of laying out all of the things that could happen, but we don't know anything at the moment. We don't know how big the surgery is going to be.
Like I said, I went to the doctors the first time in March, but they didn't find the tumour until last of October, because nobody really took my symptoms serious enough. So we were battling with this on our own for quite a few months before we actually found a doctor who wanted to have a proper look.
Yeah. So that means that in your case, it's probably going to be surgery.
Yeah.
It's just that it'll be after the scans when we figure out, or when they figure out how big that surgery will be and what it means exactly.
Yeah.
Super quick one here then. Are there any other YouTube channels that have gone through the cancer journey that have inspired you? The ones that pop into my mind are King in It. We followed them for a long, long time, and Amy from King in It's gone through a cancer journey, although I don't think they really documented it.
No, that was
sort of before they...
Yeah, they just done like a recap and saying that they've gone through it.
Yeah. But
for me, it's, how do you say it, Eamon and Beck.
Yeah.
I watched Beck go through breast cancer.
Yeah, they documented.
I don't know why I'm tearing up.
It's tough, isn't it, sometimes today. Bless you.
It inspires me to watch the people who's gone through it and not watching people that's actually going through it at the moment, because for me it's tough enough to go through my own journey, so I can't really bond with people who's at the same stage or like behind me, because I struggle to do my own journey. But watching like Beck go through it and see her on the other side, that motivates me a little bit.
Yeah, she went through 8 rounds of chemo, I think,
Yeah.
and came out the other side really, really strong. So she's definitely inspirational.
Yeah.
There's also been a lot of people that have suggested that we pay attention to Tiffany Thinks. We've not had a chance to check her out yet, but thank you very much for the suggestions.
Yeah.
We'll definitely watch her stuff. It's got 1 minute left on the drip, so super quick one. What's the most unexpected thing about chemo?
That I'm not losing my hair. I think I thought all chemo made you lose your hair, and this chemo don't.
Yeah.
I was quite expecting the sickness and feeling rough and everything like that, and I didn't know that all chemo is different. I thought chemo is chemo and it don't matter who's getting it and what kind of cancer you got, but I've learned that it's very different.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, we didn't really know what to expect at all with chemo, sort of in general, did we?
No.
We'd not had anybody super close to us go through it. It was just sort of what we'd read, heard online, and, you know, the couple of people that were sort of family friends that had some experience with it. So actually a lot of it was pretty unexpected, really.
Yeah.
I think probably the biggest thing, like you said, was finding out that every combination of chemo affects people differently, and every person reacts differently themselves as well. So not everybody loses their hair and stuff like that. But then you also got the really weird side effects with the super, like, hypersensitivity to cold.
Yeah, I've never heard about that before.
No, I hadn't either.
So I can't drink, barely eat anything that's cold.
No.
Like room temperature drinks is too cold, so I need to microwave like my water and everything, because otherwise it feels like something is stuck in my throat, and it just grows bigger and bigger for every sip that I take of something cold. So by the end of it, it feels like I can't breathe.
Yeah, and then obviously with that comes being sensitive to the cold air as well. So being outside's pretty much a no-go for the first few days at least, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially here in Sweden where it's really, really cold.
Yeah, and because the reason that it's like this is because it affects the nervous system. So it also, like, I get numb in my hands and my fingers, like I can barely hold my phone for the first few hours. After driving home, like last time you had to like lead me into the house because it was like my feet just feels like the big blocks of ice cubes basically, so I can't walk without holding on to something.
Yeah.
But that goes away quite fast, but it's still a horrible feeling.
Yeah, it's terrible, bless you. So all that fun stuff to come over the next few days, eh?
Yeah.
But like we said, we're over halfway there. When we're at the end of this week, you can almost see the finish line of chemo. So it's just to fight through it.
It's just to fight through it.
It's not easy.
No.
And like you've mentioned before, we only film on the good days. We only film when we're feeling good normally. So it's easy for us to come across as having a really easy time or it being really straightforward and simple, but it's not at all. It's not easy. There's nothing about chemo that's easy, and there's nothing about cancer that's easy. We're just trying to be as positive as possible for as much as possible.
Your mindset does a lot. It really does.
Yeah.
But some days, like today, it's very emotional.
Yeah.
And just everything sets me off today.
Yeah. So I think we should go and use the toilet before we leave, because you normally have to stop on the way home. So we'll go and do that, and then we'll go and start the week of recovery. So this week
of hell.
Yeah. But we're still trying to see the positives in as much as we can. Sometimes they're a little bit more hidden than others. Like today. So it's not always easy.
No.
But you're doing a great job, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And everybody who's watching this is proud of you as well, I'm sure. But thanks very much for watching this one.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry for all the crying.
You don't have to apologise for that, I'm sure. We really appreciate all the support, and we'll see you next weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.